welcome to the Deep Dive, where we like to, get into really interesting topics. And today we're going to dive into the world of deep work.
Ooh, fascinating.
Yeah, it's you've shared some excerpts from Cal Newport's book, Deep Work.
Yes.
And it seems like, based on some of the other materials you've shared, you're interested in how to apply this in a world that's just like constantly demanding our attention, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a deep dive into like, what is this concept of deep work,
Yeah.
Why has it become so crucial, and what are some of the practical strategies we can like pull from the book
Yeah, totally.
to help you cultivate this skill?
It's amazing how relevant this book is even today.
Right.
Everything's so distracting.
Yeah.
So to be able to focus deeply is like a superpower these days.
Totally. Now, the book, it doesn't waste any time, right?
Yeah.
It jumps right into this argument that deep work is not a fad.
Yeah.
It's not just like another productivity trend.
Right.
This is a fundamental skill that's becoming more and more valuable in our economy.
Yeah, especially today. Yeah.
Especially today.
Yeah.
And that's what's so interesting given like the materials that you shared about your own field and the challenges and the opportunities that you're seeing.
Right, for sure.
How deep work kind of fits in there.
Yeah. I'm really fascinated by this concept of the great restructuring that he talks about.
Oh, yeah.
It's this idea that like technology is changing everything.
Yeah.
And that people who can work well with machines, superstars in their field, and those with access to capital will thrive.
Okay.
And, he argues that deep work is like essential to all three of those things.
Right. It's like the foundation.
Yeah.
And to illustrate this point, one of the examples that he uses, and I thought this was really fascinating, he talks about Nate Silver, who predicted the 2012 election outcomes.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And his ability to really go deep with data, right? Complex algorithms and, data analysis really showcases how deep work can be applied to fields that are like heavily reliant on technology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, thinking about your own work and all the stuff that you're dealing with in Mention Listener's field and how deep work might be relevant based on provided materials, how might you leverage deep work to navigate these like increasingly complex challenges that you're facing?
I think, that's a great question. I think as we go through all of this, I think we can pull out some good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's cool is that Newport doesn't just rely on like anecdotes, right? Like, here's an example. He actually uses his own personal experience as an example.
Yeah.
He achieved, significant professional success while maintaining a compressed work schedule.
Yeah.
And that just highlights that it's not about the quantity of hours we put in.
No.
It's about the quality of that focus.
Exactly.
Yeah. But here's like the paradox, right? Yeah. While deep work is becoming increasingly valuable, it's also becoming increasingly rare.
Yeah.
And Newport argues that our work culture is actually like making it harder.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with open offices and, constant connectivity.
Yeah.
Social media.
It's almost like counterproductive, right?
It's like we're surrounded by tools.
Yeah.
Designed to, make us more productive.
Yeah.
But they're actually pulling us away
Totally.
from the type of work that really drives meaningful results.
Like, remember when all these companies like Facebook had those open offices?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like collaboration and creativity, but it just ended up being distracting for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it's like the buzz becomes a barrier to innovation.
Right.
And it's not just the physical workspace. It's the pressure to be constantly connected,
Yeah.
on social media, responding to emails instantly. This has created a culture of busyness.
Right.
That's often mistaken for productivity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We think being busy means we're being productive.
Right. And that's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
Because, and I love how Newport talks about this. He's like, we've fallen into this metric black hole.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Where we lack these like clear ways to measure productivity.
Yeah, especially in knowledge work.
Especially in knowledge work.
Yeah.
So we default to busyness as this like proxy metric.
Right.
We confuse doing things with actually accomplishing something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And we can all relate to that feeling of like being addicted to busy.
Totally.
Even if it's not moving us forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I remember this. Is like Jonathan Franzen, he criticized Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
That author, and people just like came down on him.
Yeah.
It was really interesting how that became this whole big thing.
Right. It's like almost taboo to question social media.
Yeah.
The value of it.
It says a lot about how ingrained it is in our lives.
Yeah.
Like, we're afraid to disconnect,
Yeah.
even for a little bit.
So it's not entirely our fault
No.
that we struggle with distractions?
No, it's like built into us.
Oh, okay.
The book talks about how our brains are actually wired for distraction.
Okay.
It's like it kept us alive in the jungle,
Okay, so it's evolutionary.
Totally.
Okay.
But the thing is, it can backfire today.
Okay.
Because shallow work, where you're just like multitasking and, switching tasks all the time, can actually lead to more stress and unhappiness.
And I remember reading about, was it Winifred Gallagher?
Yes.
Her research.
That's right.
And she talked about how when we're constantly distracted, our minds kind of go to like, what's wrong with our lives?
Yeah.
As opposed to what's right.
Totally.
And that's how we get stuck in this like negativity loop.
Yeah.
Especially at work.
For sure.
And that's where, I think deep work becomes even more appealing.
Yeah.
Because the book connects deep work to flow states.
Well, yeah.
Those moments where you're just completely absorbed in the task, in the work.
Yeah, totally.
You lose track of time.
Yeah.
You come out of it feeling energized, fulfilled.
And it's like so good for us too. It's not just like anecdotally. Mahi Csikszentmihalyi, who's studied flow.
Yes.
His research shows that like these flow states are so good for our well-being.
Yeah.
And like our sense of meaning and purpose.
Right. So we've got like economics, neuroscience, psychology, all like converging on the value of deep work.
Totally. Yeah.
But the question is, how do we actually cultivate it
right
in our lives?
That's the big question.
Yeah, because it's not easy.
No.
But that's where like I think the book really shines, because it doesn't just tell you why deep work is important.
Right.
It gives you these like concrete strategies.
Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah, totally.
And that's what we're going to dive into next.
Awesome. One of the most interesting things, I think, in the book is this idea of the eudaimonia machine.
Yeah, the eudaimonia machine. This one I was like, what is this? This sounds like sci-fi.
Yeah, it's a thought experiment.
Okay.
But it's a really good way to like illustrate the ideal environment for deep work.
Okay, so walk me through it. What is this?
Okay, so picture a building, single story.
Okay.
And there's 5 rooms.
Okay.
And they're all in a row, so you have to walk through each one to get to the next.
Okay.
And as you go, it's like you're getting deeper and deeper.
Oh, interesting. So it's like the architecture itself encourages this progression.
Totally. Okay, so the first room is like the gallery.
Okay.
And this room's filled with examples of the kind of deep work that's been produced there.
So it's like inspirational, like look what you can achieve.
Exactly. And then the second room's the salon.
Okay.
And that's more for like conversation and collaboration.
Okay, so there is some like element of interaction. It's not just total isolation.
Right.
Okay.
But it's still serious. Like there's a sense of seriousness.
Okay.
Then you go to the library.
Okay.
And that's for like research and thinking.
Okay.
Lots of books and stuff.
I could see myself in that room.
Right. And then you get to the office.
Okay.
And this is interesting. This room's for shallow work.
Oh, okay.
Email, meetings, all that.
Oh, interesting. So it's separated.
Totally separate.
Okay.
And then finally, the deep work chambers.
Okay.
And these are soundproof, totally isolated.
So this is where like the magic happens.
Exactly.
It does sound like very like monastic.
It is, yeah.
A retreat for the mind.
It is a retreat for the mind.
Okay, so it's a thought experiment.
Right.
But it's highlighting this importance of the environment.
Yeah, that's the takeaway.
Creating an environment.
Yeah, for sure.
And as I'm thinking about, your workspace, like, are there elements of this
Right.
that you could adapt or bring in?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think there are.
Yeah.
What's also really cool about the book is, like, he doesn't say everyone has to do it the same way.
Okay.
Some people thrive in different environments.
Okay.
Some people like it loud, some people need it quiet.
Right.
He actually talks about 4 different deep work philosophies.
No. Okay.
Monastic, bimodal, rhythmic, and journalistic.
Okay. So let's go through these, starting with monastic.
Okay?
What is monastic?
This is like complete immersion.
Okay.
You cut out everything.
Like no internet.
No internet, no phone. Maybe you go to a cabin in the woods.
Wow.
Like a writer.
Like a digital detox, extreme.
Extreme digital detox, yeah. He talks about Donald Knuth, a computer scientist,
Uh-huh.
who like didn't even have an email address.
Wow. That's commitment.
And Neil Stephenson, a sci-fi writer, also very protective of his time.
Okay, so that's monastic. Intense.
Intense.
But maybe not practical for everyone.
Right.
Okay. So then there's bimodal.
Bimodal. This is more like you split your time.
Okay.
You have intense periods of deep work.
Okay.
And then, periods of more open-ended work.
Okay, so there's like dedicated blocks.
Yeah, like blocks of time.
Okay.
He gives the example of Carl Jung.
Okay.
He would go off to his tower to think and write, but then, come back to the world for other things.
Okay, so it's like you immerse and then you come up for air.
Exactly.
Okay, and then rhythmic.
Rhythmic is all about routine.
Okay.
Like you make deep work a habit.
Okay, so it's like every day.
Every day, same time.
Okay.
Make it part of your schedule.
So this is good for people who like structure.
Love structure.
Okay.
And then finally, journalistic.
Okay.
This one's like the most flexible.
Oh, okay.
You switch into deep work mode whenever you can.
Oh, so like finding those pockets.
Yeah, just like a journalist who can write a story even when it's noisy.
Oh, okay. So being able to like harness those moments.
Exactly. He uses the example of Walter Isaacson, who wrote a huge book while also working as a journalist.
Oh, wow.
Just by using any little bit of time he had.
Okay, so it's like seizing those opportunities of focus. Okay, so we've got these 4 philosophies.
Yeah.
Thinking about, your own work and everything, like, which one do you think
That's a great question.
resonates most with you?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You can actually blend them too, which is interesting.
Oh, okay.
Like take bits from each one.
Okay, so kind of customize your approach.
Yeah.
Now, beyond just like the philosophy, he also talks about specific strategies.
Yes.
For actually like doing deep work.
Right.
And one that I thought was really interesting was embracing boredom.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, because like we're so used to being stimulated all the time.
All the time.
We've lost that ability to just be bored.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And he's saying that that's actually like hindering our deep work.
Absolutely, because if you're always distracted,
Yeah.
your mind never settles down.
It's like our attention muscles are like weak.
Totally. He compares concentration to a muscle.
Okay.
You have to train it.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we train those muscles?
Okay, so one thing is scheduling internet blocks.
Okay.
Like literally disconnecting for a set amount of time.
So that's like deliberate.
Very deliberate, yeah.
Digital detox.
Yeah. Another thing is productive meditation.
Okay.
So this is using like downtime, like when you're walking or commuting, to think deeply about a problem.
Okay.
No distractions.
So it's not about like emptying your mind.
No, it's about focusing it.
Okay. And then even just like not checking your phone every time you have a free moment.
Yeah, resisting that urge.
Yeah, it's about like taking back control.
Totally.
Instead of letting it be dictated by every notification.
Right.
Okay, so there's like a counterintuitive thing here. Right?
Yeah.
It's like the more comfortable we are with boredom, the more capable we are of deep work.
Exactly.
And that kind of leads into this other big idea in the book, which is quitting social media. Now, this is a hot topic.
It is, yeah. But he doesn't say you have to quit forever.
Okay.
He just suggests taking a break, like 30 days. He calls it a packing party,
Okay.
where you pack up all your social media like you're moving.
So it's a digital decluttering.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the point is like to really experience life without it.
Okay. So you can see what it's actually doing for you.
Yeah. And then after 30 days, you decide if you want to bring it back.
So it's about being intentional.
Exactly.
About how you use it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he also talks about draining the shallows.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Which was basically like all the shallow work that we do.
Right. The stuff that doesn't require a lot of focus.
Email, meetings, all that.
Exactly. It can really drain us.
Yeah. And it's like you don't even realize it's happening.
Right.
So what are some of the strategies for like getting rid of that stuff?
Well, one thing he suggests is scheduling every minute of your day.
Oh, wow. So like planning it all out.
Yeah. You basically allocate time for everything.
So you're making conscious choices about your time.
Exactly. It helps you stay on track.
Okay.
Another strategy is quantifying the depth of every activity.
Okay, what does that mean?
So you give each task a depth score based on how much focus it needs.
Okay.
So something that needs deep concentration gets a high score.
Okay.
And mindless tasks get a low score.
Okay.
And this helps you see how much shallow work you're actually doing.
Oh, so it's like awareness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, become hard to reach.
Okay, does that mean like going off the grid?
No, not necessarily. It's more about setting boundaries.
Okay.
like being more selective about your communication,
Okay.
not always being available.
So being more intentional about like when you're reachable.
Exactly.
So all of these strategies, they're not just about being productive.
No.
Right. It's about something bigger.
Yeah, it's about like doing work that matters.
Yeah.
Work that fulfills you.
It's about creating a work life that's not just efficient, but meaningful.
Exactly. And I think that's really relevant for you.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, this whole idea of being hard to reach makes me think about that shutdown ritual
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the day.
Totally.
You know, because it's like,
We're always on.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
expected to be available 24/7.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Newport says having a shutdown ritual can actually make you more productive
It's true.
and like less stressed.
Yeah.
So what is this? Like, what does that look like? A shutdown ritual.
Well, it's basically just like
Yeah.
taking a few minutes at the end of the day to kind of wrap things up,
Okay.
you know, tie up loose ends,
Mm-hmm.
think about what you did today, what you're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah. So you can really like mentally check out. Exactly.
Okay, so like what would that look like? Like just tidying up your desk.
Yeah, you could tidy up your desk,
Okay.
look over your to-do list,
Uh-huh.
maybe jot down any thoughts you have.
Okay, so it's like creating that separation
Yeah, a clear separation.
between work and life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that just speaks to this whole idea of being intentional,
Oh, for sure.
which is like the big theme
Yeah, it's all about intentionality.
of this book.
Right.
It's not just reacting to things.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices.
About how you spend your time and energy.
Yeah, it's really about taking control.
Totally.
And that's what I find so powerful about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about becoming this robot
No.
who just churns out work.
Right. It's about doing work that matters.
It's about creating a work life that's both fulfilling and sustainable.
And enjoyable.
Right.
Like you actually want to do it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that, you know, thinking about your field and all the stuff that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Like that's got to be a challenge, right?
For sure.
To find that balance between, you know, getting stuff done and also
Yeah, feeling good about it.
feeling good about it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So as we've been talking about these strategies, I've been thinking about some of the specific challenges you mentioned, you know, earlier. And I'm curious, like, which of these deep work techniques do you think could be the most helpful for you?
That's a good question. I think, you know, maybe starting with just like setting aside a block of time every day
Okay.
for deep work.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah. Or maybe trying that shutdown ritual
Yeah.
to create that separation.
I like that idea.
And remember, like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's a journey.
It's a journey. Yeah. And it's about like embracing that journey
Totally.
of cultivating deep work and seeing what you can achieve with it.
Yeah. And you know what? As we've been talking, I've been thinking
Yeah.
deep work isn't just about productivity.
It's about more than that.
It's about craftsmanship,
Ooh, I like that.
taking pride in your work
Yeah.
and creating something of value.
It's about like tapping into that human desire to create, to make a contribution.
Yeah. And I think that's so important today. You know, when everything's so fast and efficient,
Yeah,
it's easy to forget about that.
totally. So as you go about your day, I encourage you to think about how you can bring these principles into your own life.
What would it look like for you to cultivate a deep work habit?
What could you achieve if you had that kind of focus?
It's exciting to think about.
It is. And we hope this deep dive into deep work has given you some, you know,
Food for thought,
for thoughts
some inspiration.
and inspiration. Yeah. And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of ideas.
See you then.